Welcome to another episode of What's Going On Here. So right before I was transitioning, I have done my very best to set up some sort of desk to where I can have a lot of my controlling stuff kind of set up on a makeshift desk here, and I am very happy with how it turned out. And as soon as I started, I accidentally just knocked my mouse off the table. It's just on the floor right now. It's okay. I just need the keyboard, but it's still just, I'm like, of freaking course. Like, it's fine. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna forget about it. Enough about me. We have a couple of quick announcements before we dive into this week's episode of the Basically Good Podcast. We have hit our Patreon goal, so huge applause for all of our friends and family who have supported us, and for those who are our Basically Good family. Thanks so much for the haircut comment, Scallywag. I got it done today. We're very happy to have hit our $500 goal. That is absolutely just bonkers. I think we're all kind of losing our mind about it still. We're very excited about what's going to happen in the future. Lots of rewards coming out. So we're all working on those. Patrons, be ready for another Hero Duels voting sesh here very soon. Hero Duels card print. We're going to talk spoilers tonight. So if this is your first time joining us, you shouldn't watch unless you're caught up. We're going to be discussing episodes 101 through 105 of the Basically Good podcast. Last announcement before I introduce our guest this evening. Guess what came in the mail, team? Boom! We got WizWiser glasses. If you were paying attention to some of the announcements that were going in the slideshow, we officially have our WizWiser glasses. You can head on over to basicallygoodpodcast.com/shop to grab yourself one of these beautiful glasses while supplies last. And that's a great way to support the show. Let's go ahead and dive in. We have some amazing guests here this evening. Let's go ahead and introduce our two boys that are going to be joining us this evening. We have Jackson and Ronnie. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, doing great.
Not good.
Okay, we gotta talk about this.
Really bad.
Jackson, well, would you like to explain what's going on? I can do it for you if you're afraid.
I don't know why I'm here. This is really bad. My internet's trash. I know it's been all day. I'm here because Zach told me to.
It's just a little. Oh, and Ronnie's just gone now. Now we.
Wait, what happened?
You guys are looking at the set. Ronnie, turn your camera on. They saw behind the scenes. They can't see behind the scenes. The magic is broken. We're off to a horrible start. No! So, Jackson's got bad internet. Ronnie's gain is down because he's slurping tea. Carson is blurry. Merrick
is this better, Zach?
It's much better. Merrick is 3 seconds behind because he's using a GoPro. So it's a disaster. It's a disaster. But we're happy to have our guests. Introducing our Patron Heroes, our Patreon Heroes for this evening. We do have Carson again joining us. Carson, thanks so much for joining us again. Carson was one of our very first members to be on the show. I believe our first show we discussed some amazing Tiberius chatter, and it was some of the best. It's just one of my favorite episodes we've done of this show. So Carson, thank you so much for joining us again, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. Currently the first and the last guest on the What's Going On Here, so happy to be here.
Right. We don't know if we'll do this show again. Not that we have any plans not to do it. We just don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what tomorrow may bring?
God's willing, as they would say in
God willing.
Valerian.
God's willing.
God's willing.
And last but not least, we have a new guest, a new boy. He looks a lot like me, strangely. Actually, not really anymore. You used to, but not anymore. This is Merrick, Patron
Still.
Hero. Merrick, my brother. How are you, Merrick?
Hello. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. I was supposed to be here last month or whatever, but I didn't. Couldn't get back from the airport soon enough, so I'm here now and I'm excited.
He was on the long road, and he is now here. We're so happy to have you. We have a tradition here at What's Going On Here, where we just ask the youth group icebreaker question for all first-time attendees. What is your favorite ice cream?
My favorite ice cream, I would have to go with cookies and cream.
A solid
That
answer.
is a lie. Cookie dough is what I meant to say.
Okay.
Chunks.
Similar, but very different, actually. Very
I'll
different
allow it.
flavors. I'll allow it. Well, we are very happy to have you here. We have some good episodes to talk about. I think this is the first time I've written down quotes for an episode. I just have a bunch of just like things that were said. Yeah,
Zach,
Ronnie,
I have a question for
What?
Merrick.
Okay.
Before we get into
Oh,
the
boy.
questions about the podcast about his favorite ice cream flavor. So, Merrick, you mentioned that you like cookie dough
Oh my
in your
gosh.
ice cream. Are you pro eggs or pro no eggs in cookie dough?
Don't
Well, it
answer the
depends
question.
if you're gonna eat it as a cookie or not, right?
I'm
If
eating
you're
it
gonna
as
eat
cookie dough.
It's a trap.
Then no egg.
All right. Fair enough.
Am I about to get canceled by Ronnie? It's gonna be another.
Can I
Fuck,
talk
Ronnie.
now? Can I take my show back, dude? Yikes.
You can.
Fuck.
I just,
You try to trap you and you beat him.
You
You
beat him.
kid.
I personally
Okay.
like eggs in my cookie dough, and I will eat them.
Big
It's
egg.
unhealthy,
Even though it's
What?
big egg,
That's
huh?
fair.
even though it's big egg.
Ronnie supports big egg. I just want everybody to hear loud and clear. That's what I thought you were going for, but I will say.
Man, fuck big egg.
Oh my gosh. Hey, I like eating cookie dough with eggs in it. I think that was the first like defining moment when I ate like a package, like pre-packaged cookie dough, and it's like right on the label, like do not eat this raw. Like the men at Nestle are like, don't eat this. It's not, and I just did it anyway, and it's empowering. If you haven't eaten cookie dough out of a tube, go do it today.
One of
I don't
those
think we
social
can
rules
endorse
you don't
that.
have to follow, like wearing a
Endorsing.
seatbelt. I mean,
And then after that, I just didn't wear a seatbelt. I just robbed a few banks. Very liberating.
didn't buy life insurance. You know, all of the high risk.
Did you
high
rip them?
testosterone.
Did you rip the tag off your mattress though?
I
Oh, never, dude.
never. Dude,
Come on,
you're
bro. We're not
crazy.
vaccinated.
Okay, just asking.
You're insane. You're a monster. What are we talking about? Hey, what are we talking about in this pre-pod today?
What's going on here?
What's going on
Yeah,
here?
what is going on here?
Let's dive
Look
in.
at
We
how
got a lot
Merrick
to talk about.
ruined Ronnie.
Zach,
have-
I'm gonna change all my
This is-
questions
this
to
is
egg
safe.
questions.
Okay, if you can. We're talking about big. Okay, I want to know: did we ever discuss Big Egg on a pre-pod, or is this just
We need to explain. Big Egg.
conversation that we've
Yeah,
had?
I'm not sure.
I'm not
can't
familiar with
remember.
Big Egg, and I listen to
Okay.
pre-pods.
Okay,
Shit.
I
We even
I
made
don't
it.
remember.
I can't even trace it back. I don't even know where it came from. I can't remember.
I
who
mean, I
said it
do, but I
first.
probably sound like I'm in a trash can.
Go ahead, Jackson. I think we can make out just enough of what you're saying for. Yeah,
I think
go
we
ahead.
can hear it. It's just PP11 talking. Go ahead.
It's just the idea we were talking about eggs and how much we like them, and then we brought up the fact that chickens are raised and the eggs are gotten in a terrible way, and then we just decided that the egg industry is called Big Egg,
Big Egg.
like Big Pharma, and we love eggs, but we hate Big Egg.
But we hate Big
That's-
Egg.
The purpose of the joke.
Here
So the second he asked you a question, Merrick, about eggs, it was wrong to say that you like the egg.
He's coming in hot with the. He's trying to pin you as a Big Egg supporter.
Yes, he was trying to cancel you, and you totally swerved him,
You did.
and it was awesome.
I'm not gonna say. All I'm gonna say is eggs good. Find. locally source your eggs. Make sure you know where they're coming from. That's actually kind of fun to do. I do like. There's a place in Portland. I think it was on Portlandia where you can get your chicken. When you order chicken at a restaurant, they'll tell you about how the chicken lived and stuff. They'll like actually give you like a little bio on your chicken.
Imagine that is your job. Like you're the bio writer for this chicken.
Right, but that's fine. That's fine. Great start. We're off to the races here. Once again, spoilers ahead. If you're just now joining us, spoilers ahead for episodes 101 through 105 of the Basically Good podcast. We're gonna start with episode 101. Go for the legs. Our adventurers continue their battle against the one-eyed Amnon and his Scarlet Triad cronies. We pick up here, this is in the middle of the town square, I'm pretty sure, and we're just mid-fight. Kicking off this episode, there's kind of a break between what Kalere and Urkel are doing. Urkel fighting One-Eyed Amnon, Kalere taking on every creature that is in the battlefield, from pigs to wyverns, oh my. And then Aaron and Frizzygig kind of off dealing with the thugs, the Scarlet Triad thugs, and trying to kind of manage not getting manacled by them. Jackson, leading into our first question here, Aaron gets a bit separated from the bunch with Frizzygig. When Aaron, I guess I've always been interested to know, when Aaron prepares his spells for the day, is Aaron preparing to be cornered? Because it looks like it. It seems like every time Aaron gets like trapped, he's got like mirror image ready to go, or like a mist spell ready to go. Is that part of kind of the basic routine that you go through? What do you do when picking your spells?
For that combat, I knew that I wanted to try out Obscuring Mist with Fairy Fire. Fairy Fire makes the enemy not concealed, but if my good guys are in it, they're concealed. That was the original idea that I had. So I took Obscuring Mist. That's why we opened it up with it.
With the
mist, never use the Fairy Fire. But yeah, I always take at least 1 or 2 get out of jail free cards. I'm not free, but yeah, as a wizard, like, you always have to assume they're going to kill you, because we fought that tree thing and I almost died in 3 hits.
What was it? The hazard didn't even have an HP.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. No, I think that's a good answer. Yeah, I guess that was more of a behind the scenes that I was just interested in, because it always feels like, it's like, oh, he's dead. He's gonna have to pick Aaron up, and then he just isn't. And especially that episode. Go ahead. Sorry.
At this point, a lot of my lower level spells, I think like level 2 spells for me, are almost all defensive ones.
Oh. Right.
Like the ones that are not staying the most powerful are generally what I end up like leaving blur and mirror image, invisibility for.
Right. Yeah. No, that's awesome. It definitely feels good in a combat like this, especially when they're trying to like manacle you and they. Well, actually, re-listening to it today, it was like, oh, did he get the manacles? And then he rolled and he actually did get you, even with mirror image on, which sucked. But no, good answer. Okay, so I wanted to kind of break up the questions right now. And not even break up the questions, just as an aside. While re-listening, there's a section where we kind of get off on a tangent about Ronnie's eating habits with Nerd's Rope, and how you would just pick all the nerds off and eat it. And Jackson, you're like, nasty. And then you also talk about sucking all of the like Sour Punch stuff off of Sour Punch straws and just leaving like strawberry spaghetti like left. And you hear me in the background. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go on Amazon and buy some. And I think I was drinking, so I was in a very good feeling state. But I went on Amazon and I just bought, and I have with me here, I just bought like what they had, and it's like a 30 pack. So I've just been like putting these away every like I don't know, couple days and we'll just open a pack and like all split it as a family. Just very funny. I don't know. I was like, I want to.
In my defense, Zach, like when I was doing that, I was like 8, okay? Like I think the last time I ate the nerds off of a nerds rope, like a corn on the cob situation, I was maybe 10. Like, okay, like
it was
at the worst.
No, it's fine. I just remember you saying it, and I was like, man, I really want some Sour Punch straws after hearing about like nasty, like slimy strawberry spaghetti. But it's delicious still.
Also, I will say, Sour Punch straws remind me of that really kind of crusty skating rink in Cersei. For those of you who know where the skating rink is. We used to go there in junior high and high school for birthday parties sometimes, and I think there was a lock-in at some point for like homecoming or something weird, and I remember always buying Sour Punch straws there with like either arcade tickets or quarters. Just a good time. Right. I think everybody's got candy memories like that, you know?
Right. No, totally. Man, I need to go skating again, too. A lot of places up here have shut down since COVID. Like, just they're gone because I don't think they're a very high margin business, but love a good skate rink, love some popcorn while I skate. So back to Calere. Diving back in. It's a very cool episode for Calere. I think she shines a lot here. And there's like a bunch of creatures, kind of we talked about this, lots of creatures surrounding her. She kind of takes on a ton of enemies all at one time. Lots of critting, lots of good rolls, and really good one-liners is another thing I said. Calere said a lot of like really good one-liners. You mentioned at one point that Calere's ears perk up when she hears Urkel go into ferocity. So he gets like kicked in the face by One-Eyed Amnon, and you're like, okay, so she just knows something's up. So she runs over there and kind of flanks and helps. How does Calere view, in general, how does Calere view battle? Is this like high stakes for her anymore? Has it always been high stakes? Is it not high stakes? Does she feel like she can take a lot more than what she's been like dealing with the past few combats we've had?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think like a lot of the way that I choose to play Calere in battle comes from situational factors in the way that our party's grown together. So I think for Calere, like fighting in battle, like she's never been afraid to fight, and like in a lot of ways she enjoys fighting because she's good at it, right? Like she's proficient at fighting, dealing a lot of damage, moving quickly. I think for the first like chapter and a half-ish, Calere was very keen on kind of being the tip of the spear.
Right. Yeah.
But like sometimes she didn't wait for the hilt to come too. Like she would just kind of fly off into the darkness and try to handle things on her own in all combat, and kind of like this battle ferocity, almost like this bloodlust sort of thing. But I think as she's learned to rely more on the members of the party, she starts to view battle more as I don't know, dance is the wrong word, but like she's less just totally ingrained in what she can do and what she's doing. She is much more keen on, you know, seeing how Urkel's doing. Where's he flanking? Is Frizzigig safe? Is Aaron safe?
Right.
You know, like making sure that we are all fighting to the best of our abilities. And like in that case, like it was the wisest decision for her to take on 4 enemies. But that's not because she like wanted to or you know, like felt like she just had to kill everything herself, but more so holding these 4 enemies at a choke point and letting you all deal with the big bad guy. At that point, she thought was the best move forward. So
yeah, it's really funny that you said dance. You know, that you're like, that's probably the wrong word, but I literally thought of that while I was writing this question. I was thinking, does she see it kind of like a dance? Because it's kind of what I'm seeing in my own head, especially with, if you really break down every 6 seconds of Calere's turns, there's so much that happens. It's like swipe, flank, move, Fury swipes again, like run over and assist here. Like there's just lots of movement coming from Calere, and it's not so, like you mentioned, it's not so brutal anymore. It's not just like I just raise a 2-hander above my head and bring it down as hard as I can. There's a couple of really good quotes this episode that I just wanted to make sure I highlighted because I just found myself like wailing at my desk laughing. I believe this is a Ronnie quote, and then I just kept saying it, or maybe it was me first, and then you quoted me. I can't remember who said it first, but "Gimme dem toes" is a really good quote when we're poking Amnon. I'm poking him from the ground.
God.
Teleports behind you, my Discord kitten. It was originated here.
Sorry about that one.
No, it's amazing, so good. But that is when Kaleri is actually coming to help Urkel after she says that as she's like right behind him. Teleports behind you, my Discord kitten. Aaron telling One-Eyed Amnon to say to Kaleri, tell her you're gonna put her in the dirt from like across the way, because One-Eyed Amnon can't like get. I think Chance was just having a hard time saying like, well, all your friends are gonna be like Clapton Irons, and you're gonna be dead, and it just wasn't good. So we're like trying to help him and stuff, but that was very funny imagery. And then Goofy howling at the moon after One-Eyed Amnon gets like stabbed in the toes. Chance was just like, oh, it's like Goofy, and just like we all started making Goofy like sounds. and that's where Silas is like, that just tickled me, and I think we have a soundbite of him saying that. But really good. I was like, man, it was just one after another. Really funny moments. That's a great episode. Moving on to episode 102. Yes, you in the front.
Just before we go, I did want to make a public statement that I would love to see Lependisk Nuts as a Hero Duels card. Please.
I'm going to put my hat in the ring and say that Lependisk Nuts would make a great Hero Duels card.
Poor Lepin, man.
I know.
Poor Lepin.
He doesn't deserve this.
I don't know.
That's so funny. That is great. It's true, though. We really... Well, and then later in the episodes, we have, like, Ball Buster or whatever. It was, like, just a string of episodes of us just like, oh, it sounds relatively like that. We're just going to start calling them that. Very funny.
I need to listen back to this string of episodes between. Like,
it's really good. They were very silly.
It went from like Bull Crusher, and I feel like it degraded slowly to Ball Buster.
Ball Buster was a later episode.
Like, yeah, I think that was like the last episode when we were fighting. On the show.
We still do not know what the actual name of that guy was. Chance couldn't find it and just kept calling him Ballbuster.
Yeah, he said like, oh, I think it's like Bull Breaker or something, but we're just gonna call him Ballbuster for now. So good. But honestly, very cinematic moments mixed in with very funny, like just basically good dude stuff. Moving on to 102, Chained Diplomat. The Chained Diplomat. Our adventurers continue to foil the plans of the Scarlet Triad along with some strange allies. This is where we first meet Helica and Kaveen. Jackson, after, really to kick off the episode, we have this cold open that kind of hits us out of nowhere. There's this scene that we have with I believe it's Lucian Vogt and his mentor testing out what a soul stone containing Emeth's soul is being used for. I had a question for Aaron and his thoughts. I'll just read it because I think I worded it well. After seeing the automatons in Citadel Alteran and on top of the Eladir Bank, do you think that Aaron has given any thought to a potential of this happening to his family?
I think Aaron's position is one of like preserving hope, thinking that his individual is special and therefore, reserving the idea that wouldn't happen, that maybe even something worse is in store, but not the simple answer that's in front of me. I think it's probably like a survival thing.
Yeah.
So I don't, if it's crossed his mind, he doesn't accept it, doesn't go down easy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's good. We get that quote, or we get this cold open, and then we kind of move straight into the episode. And there was a really good question that Carson brought up to Kaleri. Carson, if you'd like to share your question, sir.
Yes, I would. So, anytime the Scarlet Triad comes up, I'm always like, it's Akire, it's Akire. And then it's never Akire. And so it's kind of a bumming out time. But my question is kind of more for Clary. Like, is Clary more like driven each Scarlet Triad encounter, or more discouraged when Akire is not there? Because like, as a listener, I'm like upset for you, but like as the player and actual character, what are Clary's thoughts each time Akire isn't found yet?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And Chance and I, like even off air, like I'm always asking Chance, like, do I need to prepare for a big episode? And he's always like, I don't know, And so like I think even as a player, like I feel a lot of that, even separate from Calere. Um, but I think that like I have to keep reminding myself, while it's been over 2 years since we started recording, and since we've created these characters and started writing this story, in reality, it's been like 5 months in game or whatever.
Yeah.
And I still think that's a long time for like a D&D campaign. Like 5 months is no joke. But like I think that it's a balance between like not falling into despair for Claire, while also like kind of taking the foot off the rage like gas pedal, and putting it more on the measured, I guess, way forward, as like she's kind of been following some of the teachings of Callistra. So like I think that like deep down she's really disappointed, and she's like really aching to find Kure, but she's trying to keep that in check, because like originally the feelings of losing her family and trying to find her brother and trying to stop Sayedi was what brought her to kind of this really violent, dangerous place when like she first met the party. So she realizes that like they are on a path that is going to get them hopefully to Akire, and she's going to do whatever she can to get there as fast as possible, but she's not going to push it or make it all about her. She knows that Frizzigig is still looking for answers, and Aaron is still trying to find his family. And Urkel has gone through a lot of loss, very recently. So I think that like she is trying to not be as tunnel vision oriented. But I do think every time that they hear about the Scarlet Triad, every time, they go to the captain's quarters and see somebody tied up in the corner, and it's, I mean, that's a spoiler for later on, I think, so I probably should have said that.
No!
For later on in this, what's going on here. But, so I think that she is disappointed. But I think she still has hope in the same way that Aaron does. And the fact that like he was referred to as the weapon, and I think she's more worried that he is in pain than he's gone, So I think she holds out hope that she will find him one day. She just doesn't know, who he's going to be when she finds him. And that's what she's worried about the most, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Thanks. Great question too, Carson. That's a good one. I think it's definitely easy to get wrapped up in different like arcs of the show, and walking through the portal, we're all just really excited to see what the world's gonna bring. But yeah, there's definitely like a piece that every player is, kind of going through in their own mind for their characters. And we all worked. That's one thing that it's like I think a good overarching theme for these most recent 5 episodes is just how much we've come together as a team, and how well we do in combat together, how well we work off of each other, how well we use our action economy, maybe even to make sure that people are being taken care of and things are happening. So there's a lot of stuff individually going on, but when we need to work together, it's like no sweat at this point. We trust each other 100%. And I see that a lot with Aaron. I see that a lot with Calere in these episodes. Moving on to episode 103, Jeannie's Smile. So after taking care of kind of everything going on in the town square, meeting Helica, being introduced to Kaveen, who's just this mountain man of flesh and darkness, we roll up to this last dock, this last push to take out the remaining slavers and kind of secure Cypress Point. There's a very good entrance to this episode, and a very crazy cliffhanger at the end of this episode. But the first 10 minutes or so is just kind of the party at the end of the dock discussing what's going to happen. And then we all kind of come to a conclusion. There was also a very funny joke that Silas said that I just laughed very hard re-listening to, where we're all like whispering, like, okay, what's the plan? And he just speaking at full volume, and we're like, hey, no, don't mind us, we're just a bush. And Frizz says, oh yeah, sorry, bush noises. And for some reason it just struck me. It was very funny. But we kind of come to the conclusion that we're going to go ahead and have Kaveen go in and just level the dock. There's a few slavers patrolling this entrance, and we're going to go invisible. Kaveen's going to come in and do Kaveen things, and then we're going to sneak on board. And he releases this, like, guttural, hellish scream in front of a bunch of these slavers, and they go crazy. Like, they just run off the deck, they run off the dock, people are diving in the water, they're taking a ton of damage, and Kalere looks at Helica and says, pretty much stating, that's terrifying. Like, Kaveen's actions are absolutely horrifying. We don't know much about Helica at this point. Is Kalere worried about this guy? I think now that we're, like, other than just a few actions before fighting alongside him, we're going into combat with him. What is Kalere thinking, about to kind of engage here, about Kaveen, about Helica? What's going through her head?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost, this was the moment where Kalere is like, I'm really glad this guy's on our side.
Right.
This guy in the summon, because I don't want to be on the other end of that. I think that, like, I don't necessarily know if Kalere is, like, super as, like, morally, like, in contest with the idea of what Helica is doing as, like, Frizz is.
Right.
Just because I think she's more focused on this is an ally, and, like, as long as this summon isn't, like, sentient in the way that I am, I don't think I understand it. So I'm just gonna, like, stop the slavery thing that's happening right in front of me.
Right.
Like, this evil that I know versus, like, this thing that I don't know. So, like, I think I was just kind of, like, in shock, glad that when Helica came out of that smokehouse, they didn't start attacking us together. So
right.
I think that was the main realization in that moment.
That would have been a crazy... Yeah, I mean, we were in no position to keep fighting after that, for sure. Yeah, that's a great episode. We wrap the episode with a cool spell being cast by Helica. This, what is it? It's like like some planned catastrophe or inevitable disaster, I think that's what it's called. And mask falls, ropes break, cannons go off, and they end up killing the right-hand man, the right-hand demon, if you will, of... One-Eyed Amnon. And we go into the captain's quarters after kind of taking care of the last few slavers, see somebody in the corner, and it is a scarred, harmed Brian from Smashing the Boys. We leave off with a cliffhanger there. I wanted to give plenty of time to talk about seeing Brian again. The majority of next episode is about Brian and our discussions with Brian. But before we dive into episode 104, we have Meme of the Month that we have to knock out real quick. Again, Meme of the Month is a super fun... I made it, and I'm like, no, I demand it to be fun. But we want to recognize those who have made memes about the show in the community, and the one that we deem funniest, usually we just go off like the one that gets the most reactions, receives some stickers, some basically good stickers. We did not have a lot this month, and maybe because it was a ton of combat, but there was one that was definitely an incredible submission, and it got a ton of interaction. So it's crazy because we can go ahead and applaud the winner live. Let's give it up for Nintendoble in this incredible. Where is it? There it is. Animorphs meme. We have. It's a very simple meme, and for some reason, I think it just struck everyone's goofy funny bone. Like, it's just the @ is just a single @ to Ronnie, and it's just an Animorphs cover. Like, that's it. I don't know. I thought it was really goofy. So congratulations, Nintendo.
Thank you. It's
great.
not even my idea. You guys literally said it on one of the episodes, like
That's true.
Animorphs, and I was like,
I'm sure
I got
it's
this.
out there. Just the Animorph Jaguar cover is very funny.
Just thinking about Animorphs is one thing, but when you see like the actual book covers and you remember how like awful they are, it's just a different level. It's
right.
like they're always worse than you thought they were, which is incredible. Like, I don't know how they do that, but
well, it's like the third or fourth like progression image is just like, oh my god. Like,
I want to see one of the books where they get stuck there, where they're in that third or fourth stage. And just,
oh no!
Yikes. I don't love it, but it was a very funny meme. Congratulations! We will send you stickers, Merrick. So thank you so much. We
have 2 meme of the month winners right here.
I was gonna say our only winners so far are actually with us today. Carson, did you get your stickers, by the way?
Zach, you know I didn't get my stickers.
They're in the mail. They'll be there tomorrow, if not today. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love you. It's okay, buddy.
They're big. We got Big Aaron stickers now. We hate Big Aaron.
Oh.
We hate Big Egg. We hate Big Aaron. But we do have Big Aaron stickers.
I don't hate Big Aaron.
We love Big Aaron.
Yeah.
the men behind Big Aaron. So they're like the 3-inchers. So you should be getting those shortly.
Hype.
Full water bottles is gonna be Aaron.
Just huge Aaron. I think I'm gonna take this. Yes.
Fuck you.
It's so digital. Okay,
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna pull
I
them
don't
up.
know why I'm here.
Hold on just a second. You boys need to keep conversation going. I'm gonna pull up stickers, so I'll show the winners or potential winners in the future.
Merrick will probably get his
I
stickers
thought-
before I do.
Well, for sure.
I
He
thought
gets
we were
them, and I
trying to
literally
do
can drive over. And he's like, "Thank you," and drive home, and that's it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't get over Merrick. Every time Merrick speaks, it legitimately looks like someone else is talking, and you were like signing to like allow like the hard of hearing.
It's a
audience
translator.
to like be able to like, you know, doing some American Sign Language for them. So that's
Ronnie, do you have the
cool.
Twitch pulled up on another monitor?
I do. I haven't been looking at it.
Because if you look at Merrick when he talks in just the Discord chat, it's one thing, but you hear the audio if you've muted Twitch, and it's even worse on the Twitch stream because it's delayed.
Oh no!
It's like a day behind. It's awesome. Oh, cat!
Oh, yeah,
There's a cat.
Cat on camera. Cat on camera.
Well, they can't see it.
Oh, that's right.
okay, Cam?
Cat cam. Zach.
We've
Oh,
had
no.
dead air for 3 minutes.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm back. And I have with me the stickers finally. So this is what you will win.
Hey.
Imagine being
Meme.
able to see that.
Yeah, you guys don't get to see it, but you have to watch the VOD.
No, those are the ones
Boom.
that you need to be sending me right now.
They're already in
He
the
opened up
mail.
he opened up my envelope to show us.
Oh, perfect.
There they are. Okay, I can see
I
them.
did.
Nice. Very cool.
So
Dude.
get yourself some funny memes. Get to meme
Get
crafting,
yourself.
and you can win yourself some stickers as well. All right. So the next cool thing that I did was forget to get my paper. So hold on as I grab
actually
my
had a
cue
question for you.
cards.
Zach. Oh, he's gone. I always do this thing when I get a question right before, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fit it in before he goes to the next episode, and then he's like, moving on.
Hey,
And I
ask
just
your
stop him.
question, Chief. I just don't want the dead air. Go ahead. Did you
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
question about an earlier ep?
Yeah, I had a question for you about kind of that Kaveen scream.
Yeah.
How did Urkel feel when he woo pig suied and then got one-upped immediately.
Well, I definitely didn't get one-upped. My scream is nega chin strength level.
Yeah, so like you said it was scary and like Kevin's scream is scary.
Oh my.
But like knowing you have the power to do that and more, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know. I think it's two different types of things. Like, I think Urkel sees magic. I mean, because he even said it, like, he's like, what's this black magic going on here? You know, definitely, like, comments on it. But I definitely think Urkel, like, sees magic items differently than a summon casting some, like, hellish scream, you know? I think seeing like Wail of the Banshee as a spell is like, okay, well that's just a, like, you know, it's like this mask is endued with the power to like release like a Wail of the Banshee pretty much. But seeing an actual creature create that without the assistance of anything, I think is definitely frightening. You know, I think it's definitely scary. I don't even know if if he even thought about the correlation. That's a good thought, though. You know, like, it's a very similar thing that's happening. But I think for Urkel, just to talk to or speak to that actual incident, where people are literally falling over dead because of the use of a mask is pretty crazy. I think that shook him a little bit. Because it was the first time he's ever used it too. Very, very intense. That item, by the way, is mega strong. But it dies off. Eventually, it'll be less scary. But right now, it's very, very fun to use. Are we good to move on? Any other thoughts or questions or comments from anyone? Moving on. Episode 104, A Split Party. Okay. So now we're diving into some of the really good stuff this evening. After quelling the slaver operation, our adventurers meet an old friend. Brian stands in front of us in this like captain's quarters, and there's some really good questions that came from our patron guests, our Patron Heroes. So I definitely want to give you guys a second to ask away. Merrick, let's start with your question that you've prepared for Aaron.
Yeah, so Aaron was very close to Brian when we had the Smash and the Boys arc. They were like the only two that actually were friendly and like were actually kind of cool to each other out of the pairings. And how does Aaron feel seeing Brian so scarred up, and now that we see, this is kind of a question, or 105 question, that some of Brian's wounds are self-inflicted, is Aaron worried about his mental health? And if we don't want to go super into this, I understand. But is he worried about his safety from himself, I guess? And does he want to act on that?
Worried about Brian's mental health?
Yes.
You know, I think the way that Aaron sees it is that he has experienced what Brian is experiencing, but at the same time, he's under threat of experiencing it again by being part of this party. And so I think Aaron might not have room for responsibility per se, like knowing if Brian's okay, taking care of Brian, that kind of thing, even though that will be a very noble pursuit. I think Aaron was pretty shaken to see Brian, only because it's like seeing himself. I mean, that's the point of those characters too, right? Yeah, and I think it's like a mixture of Aaron's past and Aaron's nightmare. So I don't think he's really looking at Brian as somebody totally separate from him, which is what it is, good and bad. But yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic between them two.
I think Aaron expresses, out of the bunch, Aaron is by far the best at empathy, like immediate empathy, to Brian. And I like what you said. I think it's interesting to hear that he's not able to take the responsibility on, but he can empathize almost nearly exactly with what he's feeling. And that's kind of speaks wonders to Aaron's character. While the rest of us, also Aaron's forwardness, while the rest of us try to kind of scrape together what to say. You know, I think that's always been one of my favorite things about Aaron, is it seems to be that he's always very good at stepping forward when there's kind of a difficult situation in front of us, you know, that has to deal with loss or pain or anything like that. He's the best at kind of reaching out and just saying, like, I'm so sorry, you know. Good question. Carson, you had a question as well, kind of for everybody, if you'd like to share that.
Yeah, so, I mean, throughout the entire campaign, we've seen a ton of moments the party has experienced almost loss, like examples of Frizzgig with the spiders, or Aaron dying and then leaving with Vaz, or Urkel and the Give, or Kaleri going down like 1,000 times and almost dying. But to me, Brian was the first moment that was huge in seeing how temporary like life is for as an adventurer or just as a person. So like experiencing that as a party, like what are your thoughts moving forward into adventuring? Like, are you more like going to be on edge? Or are you going to be more like secure with your people? Like, what are your thoughts? And you can answer to Urkel over there if you want to, if you're allowed.
For the inclusion.
This is a tough one. And I think this definitely is going to be a recurring theme. You know, this idea that we're not invincible. Really, to be honest, you know, it's like, as you said, we've almost died several times, but we don't, right? Like, it's like we've always made it out somehow, whether that be from good rolls or, you know, just like playing the right way gave us that little bit of an edge that we needed to make it out of a situation, or whatnot. You know, I think it's like definitely in the back of our characters' heads now, especially Kaleri, as someone who is always on the receiving end of that kind of divine grace almost. You know, it's like she really just has to worry about going in and being the first one, like the first line of defense, and like kind of protecting others. Like, she just kind of throws herself out in the front, tries to keep everything under control, and honestly typically gets downed, but she knows, like, you know, I don't have the means to heal others, but, you know, Aaron, Frizzgig, both, like, will pick me up, right? It's like, I'm gonna be fine, you know, like, I don't care if I get destroyed because I've got people to back me up. So, like, I think that, like, as Jackson was kind of talking about Aaron's conversation with Brian, you know, it's kind of weird, you know, being in that healer position or being somebody who is responsible for taking care of the party, I would assume, versus like somebody whose job is to just be that front line and to get taken care of, you know, in a different way. Like, I keep the big baddies away from Aaron, and Aaron puts the pieces back together when the combat's over, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of grim to think of it that way, but I think Kaleri has a very different perspective on her mortality, right? It's like, as long as I've got him, I'm good. You know, like, I don't have to worry about dying, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like I'm in a similar boat, right? Like, we're both kind of frontliners. We're just the melee heroes, so we just run up and we start hitting things and flanking and yelling at people, and demoralizing and making them bleed. We're just those people. But it definitely feels like there's this talk of like, okay, I don't know where Smash is, I don't know where Keeley is, but I know Bingo's dead. And it's like that kind of stuff can happen to us in a couple of extra rounds, like especially even when the town square with like One-Eyed Amnon and stuff. It's like a couple extra rounds. I don't know if it turns out the same way. Like if they lasted just a little bit longer, don't know if we win that. Don't know if Urkel's permadead and everybody else is going to like on slaver boat. Like it just could be. But I think while we're playing, and I have a question. Kind of this bleeds into 105 because there's a really good exchange between Kaleri and Jackson. Jackson's on the boat. Kaleri and Aaron, sorry. But that idea of like we're just playing the game, haha, lots of damage, good crit, and then somebody's dead, like somebody's down. Like it happens super fast, and I don't think a lot of times us as players. And maybe even the characters themselves aren't really thinking about it. You never think that you're going to get hit hard enough to like not stand back up. And there's definitely some of that humility that we get from seeing, Brian standing alone. And maybe Urkel has a little bit more respect for death after his time in the Give, after what happened to Tiberius. Like I think that may be true. There's definitely a good, healthy a fear of it just takes one ambush and people die, So yeah, really good question though.
Yeah, I also think like it is necessary to like mention that I think we are finally to the point in the campaign where our feelings about death and dying and being afraid of that kind of diverge as players and as characters, because like
right.
Player knowledge, we know we have like essentially an infinite like amount of time as long as we can get a body back to the shrine of in between the Keystone, whatever
the demi-plane,
thing,
the demi-plane.
Yeah, as long as we can get back to like Desna's emergency urgent care, like we have like a way to keep bodies stable for like all of eternity.
Always.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So I think like Kaleri's more afraid of losing people from either them being kidnapped or just like eviscerated, right? Like if somebody were to get like blown to bits, there's nothing we can do about that. But as a player, I'm like, Chance is never gonna throw something at us that will likely do that.
I mean, getting eaten is a fear, right? Like things just swallowing characters is a fear.
Blowing that one time, the temple blowing up.
The
temple, that almost happened.
Yo, that is such a fun memory to go back to and be like, oh gosh, we were so close to dying.
What if?
From Nale when she got blown up by those 50 bazillion things.
The most graphic thing to ever happen in our show was Renale getting absolutely bombarded by Alchemist fires.
Left. It's not because we didn't listen to her and try to save the elfin people. It's because she got burned too many times.
Destroyed. Man, oh man, that's crazy. Jackson, did you have a response as well to Carson's question?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I did not hear the question. I did not want to hear the question. I think the discussion since has been nice. Yeah.
I think some good answers, regardless.
Yeah, they were really good answers.
I have a super quick question that's a little off topic, but I don't think I either caught or it wasn't mentioned. What happened to the Night Terror after Caleri's respec?
That's a good question.
Yes. So, great question. We had a long conversation about this, but I think we decided. I could be wrong, Zach, to let me know. We bounced back and forth between it was buried with Tiberius, and Caleri still has it.
Exactly.
Somewhere in between.
I'm like, it's either in the ground with Tiberius, or potentially Caleri is wearing it, or it's like hung up in the castle somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Chance would allow like Clary to be like, but wait, the Night Terror's with me. I doubt he would be like, no, that's bullshit.
Wait,
like,
I've got the Night Terror right here. Yeah, I think for all intents and purposes, you have made us like it's like we're opening the box. Is the cat dead or alive?
Right.
Dr. Schrodinger. And I think the sword is in the ground with Tiberius. I think that's the best place for it.
Deo Dunga in chat just says, does Alec have it? Give it to Alec. And it's like, oh, I kind of like that story as well.
No.
Jackson says he did hear that. He did hear me say that. So.
And then
Selective hearing.
that,
All right, Alec doesn't have it. Sorry.
yeah.
He doesn't. Really funny though. Good question, and we definitely need to smash out that lore before next. What's going on here? Because I think we actually talked about it on What's Going On Here. Somebody's like, "Where's the sword?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure it's buried with Tiberius." Any other questions, thoughts, comments on 104 before we head into the last episode? Familiar
Quick one
faces.
for
Go ahead.
Aaron. And if this has already been answered in the show, just say I answered it. Move on. But how does Aaron feel about the type of magic Helica, not Helvetica? You guys messed me up on that. Helica is using with and Kaveen, I guess.
Aaron, I think has a large amount of respect for Helvetica because he serves the brother god to his god. His god Shaylin is sisters to his god, which they are like a dichotomy, right? My god is about love and art and beauty, and his god is about torture and blood and gore. But they have a firm respect for each other. So I've decided as a character that that's kind of how I would view him. That he does have somewhat of a buffer for my opinions about him. Like, he does stuff that I think is scary and gross, and I wouldn't keep a pet like that. But I am to respect you via my god type of thing. But he thinks the shadow magic is cool. So
Okay.
There's been a ton of moments throughout the episodes because it is this kind of like, especially moving into 105, we have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation with him about his culture and how he learned the magic when he started learning the magic. But just like even before that, Aaron, anytime something happens, Aaron's just kind of like, dope, really cool, like he's just like these really quick comments about like, that's awesome. As he just like blows a hole through the side of a boat with his mouth, with his breath or whatever. It's just a crazy different kind of magic. But I think that's a great answer too. There was a picture that Jackson, did you share that? Did you share a picture? Did Chance share a picture of Shaylin and it's Zon-Kuthon, right?
yeah,
Is his god? Yeah, like together.
Did yeah?
That was
Posted in the
me.
Discord.
I shared that.
Okay, maybe
you
Ronnie
shared
did. Sorry. Posted in the Discord. It's a really cool.
I can't find it. It's not loading.
I will find it.
Ronnie's gonna find
I don't
it.
even
Take a
see
look.
how. I don't even understand how I'm coming through right now.
Yeah, we hear you
can't-
loud and
I
clear.
can't even-
baby.
I can't even bring up a website.
So good. Yeah, but that's a cool picture. It kind of shows their relationship. I thought it was a good like imagery showing their relationship. And there's some cool lore surrounding them as well. So good question, Merrick. Moving into our last episode here. We're going to wrap it up with familiar faces. Our adventurers head towards their only lead, Kintargo, the Silver City. We spoke with Dead in the previous episode, and pretty much everything pointed to Kintargo. We talked to a dying one-eyed Amnon, or an already dead one-eyed Amnon, and he kind of pointed us that direction. And we have some cool. So it's a great episode. It's a very fun episode. Lots of good dialogue between kind of the party. We haven't had a good like kind of lax RP episode in a while. Yes, Scallywag in the chat. This episode started so goofy and ended so serious and encouraging, and I think that's very true. There is a lot of very silly exchanges between what Kaleri was doing on the fishing trip and then Frizzigig's interpretation of what was happening on the fishing trip. Very funny episode. And even just talking about kind of the loot that we got with the new materials, the mithril and the adamantine chunks that we picked up was a lot of fun. But there is a conversation that happens with Aaron playing one-man Jenga on the boat and cheating by himself. But Kaleri comes up and asks if she can sit and play one-man or two-man Jenga. But they have a really good conversation after Aaron gets some time to talk with Brian. And there's this moment where Kaleri states that she says, I feel invincible. Or pretty much the party feels invincible. We kind of referencing that she doesn't really think about losing anyone. And then although Smash lost a member of their party, it's kind of dawning on her like maybe we're not. But Aaron pipes up right after and says, I don't see you as invincible at all. Like I feel like it's my job. And Jackson, you even mentioned tonight, like it's my role to keep you alive. So I have two questions. Does Aaron lose sleep over the fact that if he doesn't do his role, that people in the party die? Is that something that takes up a lot of headspace for Aaron?
Yeah, I think it's a similar thing to Brian when things are going right, when the medicine checks are rolling and when he's able to do the suturing and the taking care of, he obviously feels in control and he probably sleeps well that night. But when Urkel's gone, I think he's in utter dismay, and he, like Brian, is going to blame himself because he's the one who is the keeper of health. And it was funny when you said that, Ronnie, where it's like feel invincible. I had thought about it like as it was happening, and I wanted to laugh in your face, but that wasn't like Aaron, right? But if I was a more brash character, he would have like laughed because from Aaron's perspective, Kaleri has gone down, and this is part of Pathfinder 2E, I think, is what we've discovered, that Kaleri has gone down like every fight for levels 1 through 5 or something. And so the whole time they've been together, I think Aaron has consistently thought, Kaleri is so much stronger than me, I have to keep her alive. I mean, he thinks you're like, Kaleri is the more powerful one, but it is his job to make her invincible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked that conversation. That was great.
Yeah. And I think it shows a little bit of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jackson, but I feel like it shows Aaron's growth in his, you mentioned earlier tonight, like the responsibility and where he puts his responsibility, right? Like, but I think he's confident enough now to say, no, you're not invincible. Like, I keep you alive, and kind of owns a piece of responsibility in the party, and maybe owns the credit that's due to him, right? And I think that's a cool picture of Aaron from where we were at, at the very beginning of this campaign, and a cool like milestone, I would say. This is the first time I think we've heard Aaron speak out about something like this, in particular, maybe even in confidence, right? Just with Kaleri back to her face, like you just said. I would have laughed in your face if it wasn't for Aaron being who he is. And I just think that's great.
I think that's part of it, but I like taking ownership and saying like some of the successes, like mine or whatever, the way that things have gone is mine. but I also think a part of it is that he knows Calere will get into dumb situations and that she's not invincible, that he's the one who makes her invincible, and she shouldn't walk into that prismatic gate in a one-on-one against a whole army and freaking have to be saved by angels because Aaron can't save that. Aaron can't fix that situation, and he's still pissed.
Man, that was yeah. You guys remember that? That was nuts. I remember that.
I'm still pissed.
A couple more rolls and I had her. She
was dead.
She was gone. She was
Dude,
dead.
that was
No.
so. That's got to be one of the coolest things. There's so many coolest things, but man, that was awesome. We were just like, what is happening? Why is she going? It's so good. So good. Okay, second question. My follow-up, and this is to Ronnie.
Wait, also, I
go
want to
ahead.
clear the water about that angel encounter. It is also anathema to deny a challenge to my strength. Also, like, that is like something that comes with like being a draconic
Then
barbarian,
lose your
so.
powers. Just become Jaguar. Lose dragon power.
Duh.
Become Jaguar.
Just become a druid.
Just be a druid. Just respec. Come on.
Just
Take-
ask for forgiveness.
Just pray or something. I don't know.
Just sin and then atone.
It's so good. Yeah, but I think that's a good explanation. I think that's fair. It's fair. I don't think I'm still mad at Calere. I see it as more of a cinematic cool thing than
Oh, yeah,
yoink
it's
that
These
ass.
ballers thought.
Yo, thanks for the follow. Rather Be Hunting is watching. I love it. I feel like I can't talk too much on live television, but man, that's so awesome.
I've gotten confirmation they've been watching the whole time.
We love Rather Be Hunting. We're big fans. Two for Calere. With this kind of, I don't know if it's realization or maybe just like a response from Aaron. Does Calere even consider death? Is that something that she thinks about, either for herself or another member of the party? And how do you think she would handle, like, death of her party? A death of her party member.
Right. I think these go hand in hand really well, actually. I think they're part of the same kind of perspective that Claire has. And I think, like Jackson said, like, he is a big reason she can feel this way, right? It's like she doesn't, when she goes into a fight, like, death is not an option. Like, that fear of death is not something that she considers a possibility. Because if it was, there's no way she could do the things she does. And I think it's a flawed way to think, but she patches that fear of dying with different things throughout this journey so far. So at first, she covered that fear of dying with rage. It's like, if I'm afraid to die, what kind of warrior am I? How am I supposed to how am I supposed to avenge my family and save the world and find my brother if I'm afraid, right? Like, that fear, I can't let the fear consume me because I will be nothing if the fear is there. And then that has, like, slowly but surely started to transfer into, as long as my friends are here, I'm not gonna die. As long as my family, as long as my party's here, like, we're invincible together. We can do anything together. We will fight and we will win. So it doesn't matter how many times I get knocked down,
Right.
we will win. And so I think in reality, and of course that worldview also comes with the kind of, like, it is my job to be the barrier, like I kind of said earlier, and that whole Callistra thing, measured, like, don't let your rage be out of control, kind of idea, with Calere kind of thinking more along the lines of be measured in everything you do, because, like, you're so sure in the outcome that you will be fine in the end. But I think if we were to lose someone, like if we were to actually have lost Urkel and Mageev, if Frizgig were to have gone missing, or if Aaron were to go down, I think that would completely shatter Calere, and she would probably immediately revert to that rage. I can't see a situation where we're in a combat and somebody dies and Calere, like, doesn't, like, lose her mind, essentially. Almost go Darkest Timeline and just, like, she's gonna like whoever killed, like if somebody killed Aaron, Kalere would either kill them or be killed by them. Like I don't think she would retreat. Like she's not leaving until, like, you know, everybody who was responsible for that, you know, dies. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, that's how it was when like we thought Urkel might be dead. Like if you had been dead, like who Lord knows like what would have happened. Lords know, as Kalere would say. But you know, like I think that is definitely where she would revert. And like of course, like if somebody died off screen, essentially, like if somebody was kidnapped or we came across a body and they were dead, I still think like she reverts to that chapter 1 Kalere, where it's all about I'm avenging X. I am here to do X. Nothing else matters. So I think that that's probably where she is right now. So it's like she's growing, but it's like her growth is built on a glass house, right? You know, it's like as long as my party is here, as long as Aaron's here to heal me, as long as Urkel's there to like keep me sane, as long as Frizzigig is there to like be a friend and also like partially keep me alive too. Like let's give some love to Frizzigig for all those elixirs of life.
All the potions last few apps for sure, dude.
Right, like as long as they're there with me, like we can do anything. Like she thinks we're invincible, right? And like obviously from this past episode, that conversation with Aaron was really good to kind of ground her a little bit, but I think that's where she's at.
Yeah. No, really good. Thank you guys for your responses. We have just a little bit of time left, and there are 2 questions that both Merrick and Carson had that weren't necessarily just about these episodes, but I think they're really good ones to end on. They're a little bit lighter notes. So Carson, if you'd like to ask Aaron his question, I guess it does coincide with some things that happened in this episode. I think it's a good one.
Can I start mine so that he can work on it while the other questions being asked?
Sure. Yeah, yes. Go ahead.
Sorry, just for speeding things up here. Quick question for Kalere is, at your absolute max speed with the best conditions, how fast can you run in those 6 seconds? If you had a spell giving you an extra turn, and you did your crazy bolt when you were in Jaguar form, and you were raging, how fast can you move in 6 seconds?
All right, I'll get that for you.
Okay.
I'll work on that right now. Okay, while Ronnie is working on that, Carson, go for it.
This is for Jackson, if he can hear me. He didn't hear me last time.
I can.
Okay. So we see that Aaron and Helvetica are talking, and he's like, yo, if you teach me some magic, I'll like give you some of my knowledge. So I feel like throughout the whole campaign, Aaron's always looking for like new magic, because he's like a student. He's always wanting to grow. But like, is that utility? Is that just for fun? Like, what does, you may not know, but what does like level 20 in-game Aaron look like to you? Like, are you just trying to get like Ultra Lord level of powers? Or are you just like getting what you can and just using everything that's best for the party?
That's such a good question. It's so hard to conceive what you want your level 20 wizard to look like. At least it is for me, because I've played a wizard enough times that like what you end at level 20 is like a series of multiple decisions that kind of frame things up. Man, I don't know. I'm still trying to walk the line of like master healer, but also just this arcane utility. Yeah, I am excited about the new spells that I got. I think they'll help working towards that battlefield manipulation and having answers and that kind of thing. But I do love, it's hard for me to like stick with one school per se, because my first wizard that I played was just like almost a straight like illusionist, which is super fun. Illusions are mega cool. But I've had a harder time sticking to one school, because a lot of my teachers have been different types of wizards. like Vaz is obviously giving me necromancer vibes, right? The brother of Rowan is his name, I think. The
Yes.
Fold, he gave me divination magic, and then now I'm getting shadow magic, and so I think I'm trying to take all these things and kind of work towards just like supporting the party, because this has been one of the first times that I think I've played a 4-man party in a really long time. So I think there's been a little bit more room for utility and answers and not necessarily having to do the damage. So yeah.
I have a tack-on question. I'm interested to know. I know that previous wizards you've played have literally become like gods, pretty much, like demigods. So I want to know, like, I don't see Aaron. I mean, does Aaron's like arrogance go anywhere, or like, what's his headspace? Does he still like, yeah, I guess I'm kind of strong, or like, is he just like, I have arrived? Like, what do we have at level 20? What's like the headspace of Aaron? Do you even know?
Okay, so the way that I see it as of now, my first wizard was totally like pride, arrogance. He knows how strong he is, and he knows he's above it all at this point, and he is.
Right.
Aaron, I think the way that I see him going is like something like, I don't know, in white robes with like leaves and just like touching people, and they're just healing, like
Yo.
low-key like prophet vibes, but also just weeping and then creating like weather storms. He's like got lightning and ice going on.
Whoa.
And like, I don't know, that's kind of how I see it. Like this he's soft and tender-hearted, but I do think the power will be like of yeah, I get lightning and ice is kind of where I'm headed. So I guess kind of a weather thing.
Well, we have definitely seen moments where Aaron means business and he does oodles and oodles of damage, right? Like, it's not just the healing show. I think he focuses there, but I would love, like, I feel like it's like emotion driven. It feels like a Fantasia skit where, like, as the emotion grows, like, so does the storm, or so does, like you said, like, I love the imagery of him like weeping and it being like stormy or icy or whatever. That is so cool. That's such a good.
Zach wants me to be the weeping wizard.
The weeping wizard. Everyone will know.
That's definitely level 20 Aaron Hero Duels card. Hollow, the weeping wizard.
Yo!
Pretty sick.
Paige and Gustavo, I need you to get working on something right away.
That's kind of where we're looking at, like low-key metagame wise,
right.
for my wizard ascension plot.
So good.
I love
how one of the biggest like showings of Aaron's power was against those couple like literally nobodies who tried to mug you guys and just lightning through them all.
We don't talk about that.
It's so bad.
But the follow-up, I think the freaking follow-up quote of like, I'll never forget that, dude. I am tired of people taking things that are mine. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Pew, pew, pew. It was just 2, and then Sarah killed the other one, so it's fine. Shared blame.
And Sarah atoned for all those murders by dying.
That's right. Yo.
I've got an answer for you, Mary.
Let's hear the answer.
So,
speed.
I think the key here is being hasted by a spell. I'm glad that you said that. Because Claire, obviously, if you listen to the long drawn out, what did you get for this level thing at the beginning of this past episode? She got Furious Sprint as an ability, so like she uses 2 actions and can stride up to 5 times her speed. So in base, that's just like 35. With heavy armor, it's 30. But in Jaguar form, it's 40. Add 5 for like elf step or whatever. Jackson and I get to add 5 to our speed. So when she's in Jaguar form, she can move 45 feet per action. So with Furious Sprint, you multiply that by 5, and then if I'm hasted, I can do that 2 times in 1 turn. So you multiply that by 10, I can move 450 feet in 1 turn, which roughly comes out to 75. Well, actually, exactly comes out to 75 feet per second, which is 51 miles per hour, which is the actual top speed of a Jaguar. Like, I am not kidding.
Yo,
Dude!
that's actually correct.
If you just Google Jaguar speed, it says Jaguar speed maximum 50 miles per hour. So that was kind of cool. I don't know.
What if you're raging though? Don't you get a buff to that?
I do not get
Not
a
to
buff to my
speed.
speed when I'm raging. I don't
Okay.
think, sadly.
Okay, I
That's
remember
so
you mentioned
crazy,
something
though.
else. Wow.
It's pretty high.
Pretty cool.
That's hype.
50 miles an hour. That's so fast. Now, okay.
And I think
doing
they,
that-
they didn't they take away retreating in 2E as well, Jackson? Because like in first edition, you can move up to 4 times your speed if you were retreating. I don't think you can do that anymore.
I don't. think
I
it's-
don't know.
I've never heard
I
that.
don't think so though. Yeah, but you could. Is it 4? I thought it was that you could just run 3 times, up to 3 times your speed, and they didn't get an attack of opportunity.
Yeah,
It was
and it
dumb.
didn't get
Oh,
in.
that's
If you
cool.
withdrew and full retreated, it might have been 3. It was a full round action, and you move up to 3 times your speed. I think it was, but I don't think you could do that anymore. You can just take 3 actions to run away. But essentially, all this means is nobody can ever run away from Calere ever again. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
just you just can't run away. So that's cool.
Literally
Yeah.
teleports behind you.
I want to see Calere hasted do a furious sprint into the like sudden charge and just floor someone.
do you have sudden charge
After that.
anymore?
No, I had to get rid of sudden charge when I
Oh
respect.
no!
But I mean,
Uh,
to be honest, I think like being able to move even 225 feet in 2 actions, I don't think
So stupid.
like I think like we won't be able to see anybody further away than that. So
Urkel.
effectively, you know.
I'm gonna lightning snipe your prey.
Just.
Yeah, I'm
What
gonna
do
do
you
that.
have? Is
Already decided.
Dimension Door
Steal that kill from me.
is Dimension Door a single action? Do you know?
I don't know if it is for the cape.
The cape is what I'm thinking of too. Yeah, I would assume so, as an item. Anyway, you
Maybe.
absolutely could then, like Dimension Door, like ahead of Calere, and then the range on Lightning
I'm
Bolt
sorry,
is like 120
Dimension
feet.
Door, unless it's heightened to 5th level, only moves you 120 feet. So I can literally run way further than one Dimension Door can. So sorry, Zach.
Whatever, no one cares.
Yeah, but-
Although,
and I got-
although it would be
Wait,
sick.
how many feet? How many feet do you get in a turn? did you say?
450. No,
Is it Dimension Door
225.
500 feet?
260. Dimension Door, when I looked it up,
You're gonna what?
says 120.
Well, I get Dimension Door plus whatever, like 200 feet of lightning bolt.
True.
It's
True.
close.
That's
It's
what I
gonna be
mean. I'm
close.
going to snipe it.
It's gonna be Superman and Flash racing. We'll have to see.
You're going to take him down, and then I'm gonna get the kill, and you're gonna be so sad.
It's gonna be it.
In all honesty, all I want is like to run up on somebody like 120 feet away, and then have Urkel Dimension Door behind them, and have Aaron Dimension Door to the other side of them, and then we're just there immediately.
Frizz is in their backpack. He's
Yeah,
already
Frizz is
there.
just
He's
on
been there
my
the whole
back.
time.
Bouncing on Caleri's back when she's in Jaguar mode.
So wait. That yeah, I guess holding an action is 2 actions, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay. So we have Urkel Dimension Door behind them. Calere actually just walking up to them attacking. You hit, Zach get his reaction like extra hit in.
Yeah, opportune backstab. Yeah,
Jeez.
we do a lot. Our combos are getting out of control. Actually, I don't
Yeah.
Level
think.
10 is demigod status
Yeah,
in Pathfinder.
I don't think I was able to take it. I'll have to look at my sheet again. I can't remember. But Battle Cry is. I know Sarah had Battle Cry, but again, I don't know if Urkel had the build to do it. But on initiative roll, I could just like scream and demoralize somebody to start the fight. So it's like we just start the steamroll of demoralize with the dread ampules and flanking, and then Aaron's just AoE. It's like it's really good stuff at this level. It's so
Urkel just
fun
has
to watch
intimidate.
the combos fall. Yeah, for sure. Well, everyone, I think that's all. I think we are caught up. If you are watching still, we have we are caught up. You have been caught up with the backstory, the extra behind the scenes DVD number 2 that came with the Blu-ray for episodes 101 through 105. Want to go ahead and thank our guests for joining us. Carson and Merrick, thank you so much for your time and for your awesome questions. Carson, it's always good to have you providing super thought-provoking questions. And Merrick, thanks for making us think about the actual fun logistics of things. As always, Jackson and what's Ronnie? Thank you so much.
What in the world?
What the hell?
What is the matter with you?
I was about to say, oh shit, fuck,
No, I'm
Bernie
kidding.
Mac,
It was part of the
Barack
bit.
Obama. Oh, what are the black guys I know?
disgusting.
Oh, damn it.
It's disgusting.
That's all, folks. That's it. That's all we have for you. I'm taking. You guys are no longer on screen. It's just me. Gonna go ahead and say one more time, just
course
again,
he
quick
would.
announcements. I'm gonna
He
mute
would.
everybody. I'm
He would.
muting all of you. Quick announcements before we wrap up today's episode. Again, huge shout out to you all for those who've joined us on Patreon. If you'd like to support us there, you can head on over to Patreon by hitting either !Patreon in the chat or just going directly to patreon.com/basicallygoodpodcast. Check out all the tiers available there. We also have a packed store now. So there's some dice available as well as these wonderful Wizwiser glasses. You could pick up yours at basicallygoodpodcast.com/shop. That is all we have for today.
Don't mess
Thank
up.
you. What?
Don't mess up. Don't mess up.
That's all the announcements that I have for today. Please enjoy this week's episode of the Basically Good Podcast. Woo!
Why me? What'd I do?
Hey, y'all. Clowning on me.